In the Pits is partnered with QBR. Founded in 2021 and based here in Texas, QBR seeks to elevate the cannabinoid industry to a new standard of professionalism and education, while also providing the highest quality product. Whether you are seeking to heal and recover from the toll that paintball puts on the mind and body, or even looking for investment opportunities through adult vending machines, QBR has the solution for you. Head to QBRofficial.com to browse their selection. QBR, they don't sell broccoli. In the Pits is partnered with 71 Designs, owned and operated by veteran Wade Martin, and partnered with fellow Texas brand Compete. 71 Designs can take your ideas for soft goods, merchandise, and casual wear and make them a reality. Message 71 Designs on Facebook or Instagram to get started today. In the Pits is partnered with Mariachi Águilas de Oro. Based in Austin and servicing the surrounding areas, these golden eagles will bring life to any event you are having, from birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, corporate events, or even a simple performance to enjoy. Guillermo Padilla, one of their trumpet players, is also a member of the Texas paintball scene. Visit them on Facebook and Instagram to check out some of their past performances, or give them a call to book them for your event today. In the Pits is partnered with Hydra. Designed by players for players, you can outfit yourself in Hydra gear from head to toe. Have confidence that when you make a purchase from Hydra, you are purchasing a well-tested and well-thought-out product, trusted by several top teams, including first-place semi-pro team PaintballFit.com. I personally recommend their Hydra Black knee pads. Purchases over $100 receive free shipping. Head to hydra.fit to browse their selection and discover the Hydra mentality. In the Pits is partnered with XTPL Events. The Extreme Tournament Paintball League is a series put on by the Lukow family of Paintball Fit fame that gives the opportunity for players to learn and grow together as a team. 3-man, Challengers and Champions X-Ball, Draft Mech X-Ball, and even Youth 3v3. There's something for everyone at XTPL. Not to mention prize tosses, raffles, and the infamous paintball munching contest. Events happen throughout the year, and the prizes never disappoint. Sign up for an XTPL event today on PB Leagues. In the Pits is partnered with TexanHemp.com, locally shipped cannabis seeds. In a world where saving time means making money, TexanHemp.com, a local cannabis seed bank owned and operated by local Texas pro player Jared Sherman, is making waves by becoming the go-to source for all cannabis genetics in Texas. Carrying a large assortment of cannabis cultivars, including Texas-approved varieties for use in the Texas Hemp Program, high THCA seeds for novelty use, as well as premium genetics bred for solventless extraction, TexanHemp.com has the ability to satisfy even the most sophisticated collectors. Head to TexanHemp.com and use code INTHEPITS for 10% off of your orders. In the Pits is partnered with Podrunners Union. Podrunners Union breaking news. Super limited Union Tech tees and, for the first time, Fiesta medals are available online at podrunnersunion.org. Use offer code PITS for 10% off of your order. Stealing pods for undeserving teams. It's a living. In the Pits is partnered with Compete. Compete is a Texas-based brand by Scott Stewart of professional team AC Diesel that provides custom jerseys, pants, headbands, straps, tech shirts, and any other soft goods to help individuals and teams compete at the highest level. Support Texas Paintball and message Compete on Facebook or Instagram and mention In the Pits Podcast for 10% off your entire order. In the Pits is partnered with BEM Wraps. Behind every mask is a unique and creative player. Tap into it when you order your next custom headpiece. Their Build-A-Band lets you communicate with them one-on-one to make your order just the way you want, all the way down to the color of the stitch. Check out their Instagram at BEMWraps for drops and build videos of them working on orders. They offer very competitive pricing, so reach out today to get started on your own one-of-a-kind headpiece. In the Pits is partnered with Get Dat Shot. Get Dat Shot is now accepting bookings for the upcoming NXL Mid-Atlantic Major and will also be offering drone footage for the first time. Head to GetDat_shot on Facebook or Instagram to secure your media coverage today. In the Pits is partnered with Paintball Kumite. Paintball Kumite is a program designed by Colt Roberts of professional team San Antonio X Factor to take paintball players of all ages, experience levels, and skill groups and mold them into champions. The program breaks the game down into small, easy-to-learn sessions designed to help you master the fundamentals so that you can elevate your game. Newcomers to the program get a free 1-hour introductory class when mentioning In the Pits. To sign up for a class, message at Paintball Kumite on Instagram. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 112 of In the Pits Paintball Podcast. This podcast is focused on everything that has to do with the paintball scene here in Texas, from professional players and teams to new divisional programs, local tournament series, field owners, Texas-based brands, even photographers and videographers. Every week, we'll have a short and sweet episode with a new topic and new special guest. I'm Christian Dallas Smith. I'm a player for the Texas Titans, and this episode, we're going in the pits with Scott Stewart, pro player for Paintball Fit and owner of Weltz Clothing Co. Scott, how are you doing this evening?
Doing good. Thanks, Christian. Excited to be on. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on. I know it's been busy last month for both of us in the paintball world with USXPL, XTPL, WCPPL. Now Chicago's coming up pretty quick. So just been week after week after week, it seems like.
Yeah, it's been busy, but you gotta love it, right? If you love paintball, this is what you enjoy. Even when it's crazy, it's all worth it. So definitely enjoyed myself too.
No, definitely, it's a lot of fun. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. This first question is brought to us by XTPL Events. So for those listening that maybe don't know about you, how long have you been involved in the Texas paintball scene?
So this would be year 4, I think, right? So 2021 was my first year. This would be my 4th year here, and so this started with AC Dallas and kind of worked my way to where we're at now, Paintball Fit.
Awesome. And so what teams have, throughout your entire career, what teams have you either played for or been associated with?
So I started out in California. I played with the Northmen was the very first team I played with. We started that as like a group of guys way up in Northern California, up by like Chico. That's where I went to school, with Chico State. So I was graduating college, still hanging out in the area, and picked up playing some paintball, or re-picked up playing paintball, I guess I should say. And then from there, played for a while. We played some D5 that year. Moved to Colorado the year after. Started playing with Denver Chaos then in D4. Moved up to D3. Also got invited to come back to Northern California and play with a team out there at the same time. So I was playing 2 divisions at the time, WCPPL and the NXL at the same time that year. And then from there, I went ahead and moved, or no, I didn't move, excuse me. Or actually, yeah, the next thing I would have done was moving to Texas and played with AC Dallas, and then played with Paintball Fit after that when we got relegated, and I've been with them since.
And so pretty much since you got started in 2015, there's like not been any stops, no like significant break period or anything like that?
Yeah, no stopping since I got started. Really, we were practicing in like the end of 2014, but yeah, I really got started at 2015. And yeah, just been pretty serious about the whole thing. Even with moving twice, none of that really ever slowed me down. Maybe a weekend here or there, especially when I moved to Colorado. I remember having a job that had me working weekends for a little while. And then when the first event came up, it was hard getting time off, and I found a new job all at the same time. So I kind of asked for some time off and then ended up just never coming back to that job. That was probably the worst way I've ever quit a job too. I was just kind of disappearing and just never showing up. But I had talked to the manager, so he kind of knew what was about to happen, but the company overall didn't have any idea. So
Gotcha. Well, it seems I do whenever I do research going into the episodes, I pull up everyone's PB Leagues profile, and man, yours is like chock full. Ever since 2015, you're averaging like 7-8 events a year. It seems like that's just a ton of paintball that you're playing.
Oh yeah, I got the bug. As soon as I actually got to my first event, I was instantly hooked. So I'd played back in like 2010 or 2009, maybe a little bit, or even 2008 for sure. I was just playing for fun at my local field. I was working at the field 2008 and 2009 while I was in high school, and that was actually Capitol Edge in California, which is Dave Bain's field. It's kind of big. It's the one that DMG plays out of, and Impact too, right? There you go. And was working there and playing, so that's how I kind of got introduced into like the more competitive side of paintball at that point. And that's what sparked my interest into it. So then when I got back into it and got to actually play my first event in 2015, I was instantly hooked. I wanted to play more and more events. At the end of the year, I played on like a random throw together team because we won like the last couple events as the Northmen. So we didn't have to pay money because we won so much or whatever. And I ended up getting to roll that over into playing another event. That was my first WCPPL. Was right at the end of the year playing with like a random group of guys.
Mhm.
So it's been a lot of fun ever since. Absolutely hooked. Love playing. Don't have to win. Unfortunately, you don't get to win every time, but
Mm.
I definitely prefer that. Definitely prefer that.
Oh, winning's fun. Who is it? Mark Franz that always says that, or is it Tyler Spees? Maybe someone in the Notorious camp is like that's one of their like phrases is winning's fun. I think it's
Yeah.
Tyler. Yeah, for sure. And there's a lot of people out there that have like at every level, even going all the way up to like D2, D1 that have never won an event. And it's like, it's interesting to me the different approaches. Like some people say that, oh, I should play up as soon as I can. That way I'm playing against the best competition. I get better the fastest. And other people have the approach of you should, play at every level. Don't move up early unless you're forced up to, so that you learn like all of the different lessons at every division.
Yep.
And I've seen like even some players that are playing in the premier division at WC, I was looking at their profiles and I'm like, these guys have never even podiumed in any division and they're playing premier. That's just crazy to me.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Doing either has been definitely interesting experiences. I've had good experiences jumping up. I've also had good experiences trying to stay down as low as you can. So I've had fun both ways, and
Mhm.
I've also had success both ways. So it's been kind of crazy to see the differences.
Yeah, absolutely. So this next question is brought to us by QBRofficial.com. His QR code's up here on the overlay. Go ahead, check him out. So tell us, what was it that got you into paintball to begin with?
So my dad played when we were young kids. He was still playing. He had like a bunch of the old guns. He's always told us stories about the old markers where when he would shoot, it like push something back and you'd have to smack it forward with your hand to shoot again. And that's like how you were cocking it. It's
Mhm.
like smacking this thing forward and then reshooting it. So he's told us stories about playing with those guns, and then he had, one of the first ever like spiders that were made. Still the only gun that he's ever owned, like more modernly. Uh, and so he got us into playing when we were really young. I want to say I was like 12 or so. I wanted to play before that, from what I can remember, but he always said no, that we were too young. We were gonna be like crybabies about it and whatnot. And I was a crybaby as a kid,
Mhm.
so I don't blame him. He's probably right. But yeah, eventually he let us play, and that was our introduction to it. And right away, I was hooked. That's when I got onto PB Nation, and I started spending all the $20 that I could get my hands on, and getting scammed on PB Nation and buying spider parts over and over again, and all that kind of fun stuff. So,
And so did your dad, was he like a serious weekend warrior or was he also like into the competitive side of it?
I think he was more of what would be a weekend warrior back then. Not even every weekend, but I think for a while he was really into it at times. I think he had a lot of different hobbies as he was continuing to age. So I think it was just a period of time where he was into it. By the time I was old enough to do it, he had played every once in a while, but he wouldn't play very often. But we knew about it. He would tell us different stories about playing, and he took some of my other like stepbrothers that were older than me. He took one of those guys out, and so that made me want to go even more. So all that kind of stuff definitely
Gotcha. All
part
right.
of the, I would say.
Yeah. Here in the chat, Patty Rice says Stu with the glasses. And the meme machine Matt says, I swear this guy is the worst player ever. Makes good shirts and stuff though. Love it.
Matt, all the way from Australia. Appreciate him tuning in.
Yeah, for sure. He actually, I gotta find the book that he sent me. But he sent me a
Yeah.
copy of his book. I just as we're still kind of unpacking in our move, I'm not exactly sure where it is, but I'll find it. So this next question is brought to us by Pod Runners Union. So, what are some things that have changed within the paintball tournament scene, either for better or for worse, during the time that you've been in?
Hmm. So in the tournament scene, I feel like not too much has changed. Slight rule changes here and there that really don't have much effect on the game. I think the W got taken out. That was still around right when I started. I wasn't a huge fan of that. I just felt like it was kind of like everyone's going to send a body out there. You're basically going to
Mm.
crash right at the W every point. At least two guys are getting sent there, if not more. So it was kind of, I don't know, it was repetitive. Every field you kind of had to play it the same way. You had to send people up there. You had to be ready for the W. You were going to always be at the W. Someone was going to be there for sure. So it was just kind of over and over again. The layout couldn't be that varied.
Mm.
So I was glad that when they changed that into the different bunker sets that we have now, which I think are pretty awesome. Tall cakes weren't that great, so I'm glad they got rid of those. Um, Trying to think what other changes we've had. The beams, I don't know if I'm a huge fan of the beams. I don't hate the layouts that Jason's done this year. The last layout, the Pro AC layout,
Mm.
that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that one. So I mean, I wouldn't say I have any problems with any of the layouts or anything like that. I love the new bunkers as they've continued to evolve those. Let me think, what else? I'd say since like when I really started playing back in 2008 or 2007, somewhere around there, 2009, to now, the better equipment like the hoppers and the speed feeds and whatnot, those are prime. I remember back in the day I used like a Eggy or a Evolution, whatever those were, and I had like a Pringles can in the back of it with like a Pringles lid on top, so I could use it as a speed feed. It was crazy.
Yep.
Now it's much easier with my Virtue speed feeds and my Virtue hoppers. It's wonderful.
Oh yeah, equipment has definitely gotten better. I remember, so we actually started playing tournaments around the same time. I started at I think May of 2015 was my first tournament in college. But the equipment back then, I remember we had like team owned E-Tech 3s and rotors that would jam every third ball. And like we were using these steely tanks and like nothing worked or ever shot straight. And I thought I was just like terrible at the game for like many years until I finally bought my own CS1. Was the first gun that like I bought, and I started shooting it and I was like, oh, this is how the game is actually played. Like it blew my mind that you could actually shoot straight, and it wasn't just like, oh, I'm just bad. No, it was the equipment, and yeah, since then the evolution in the reliability of equipment has definitely been huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I remember you didn't even have easy to adjust feed necks on your guns, so you couldn't even put your hopper on that easy. I remember filing it down with like
Mhm.
sandpaper and stuff. It was quite the adventure back in the day. I'm very grateful for all the advancements, all the simple advancements, to be honest. Shoot.
For sure. Yeah, I guess we both came in like right at the tail end of 12.2, going down to 10.5. I remember that change, and I guess it was also like right at the tail end of the X changing to the wall. I don't know if you ever played with the X or the A, but
I mean, I played some WCBPLs with the A.
mm,
The X never played like a big event. I've played some XTPLs now with the X now that they have it, but never back in the day. I've just played it like in practices and stuff like that.
gotcha. Yeah, Isaiah Barra in the chat, he says the X back then, and yep, for sure. Let's see, Robert Jordan's here in the chat. He says Dirty Stew and in the pits. Yes, sir. We're all here.
Yeah.
And let's see, Corey Callahan says wearing the unreleased heat. All right, yeah, we'll definitely talk more about that. So this next question is brought to us by the In the Pits Joust. I put the link in the chat earlier, but we expanded it this weekend's Joust from 10v10 to 12v12 because of interest, and there is only one spot left. So if you want to secure that last spot, go get signed up. I'll put the link in the chat one more time. It's going to be a blast. We've got prizes coming in from Project, some unreleased stuff. So definitely not going to want to miss out on that. Or playing under the generals, which Archie Montemayor is going to be one of the generals. And the other general, we're trying to get final confirmation. It's looking like it's going to be Ryan Brand. So, we got the all Project Joust going on. So definitely don't miss out. Click on the link, get that last spot locked in. So So your playing roots started over on the West Coast. You played for Northmen, Denver Chaos, and another team, NCI or NCL, in
Yeah, yeah.
NCI in both NXL and WC. So how would you describe like the state of the West Coast scene while you were over there?
Yeah, I would say Northern California was busy if you were in like the Sacramento or Bay Area kind of region. Up north where we were, there wasn't too many teams. Further south, it seemed like teams were really spread out. From what I understood, at least when I was in the area, teams were really spread out, and it was kind of hard to get groups together to really scrimmage a lot. So that's kind of what it was. But as far as like the actual play and the players, people were still super aggressive out there, gunfighting very heavily. They were using teams, but or like teamwork in general, but it was a little bit different than how it's used more in the Texas scene and the things I've learned since leaving that area. Um, but I was also very early in my career when I was playing on the West Coast out there, right? Until really later, and by then I was kind of helping our teams grow and just trying to learn from watching players and traveling to all these different events and watching all the different teams do really well, just trying to grow and learn based on what they did and trial and error as well. Um, but yeah, so I would say that as far as the scene went, it was probably gunfight heavy and very aggressive. Just in general, I felt like a lot of teams or all teams wanted to be on their toes, playing forward and in your face from California. Get into the snake, get into the Doritos, send two guys if you have to, get to their side as quick as you can. That was kind of the ideal situation.
For sure. Yeah, something I've noticed now that I've played two different WC events is that the California teams, they're not, I guess, compared to the Texas style, they're not as pocketed, I would say. And another thing that I've noticed, like in comparing the lower divisions, is that they're much faster, I would say, on the close. More specifically, like if they're in a situation where, let's say that it's 3-on-2 or whatever, they're very quick to trade down to a 2-on-1. That's really like the biggest thing that I've noticed as far as like the differences in style, where Texas players are going to be much more controlled. Maybe they kill clock a little bit. And the time management in Texas, I think, is a little bit more sophisticated, but in California, they're definitely very, very quick to close. And I don't know, like if that's the same thing that you've noticed, like playing in the Premier Division, but playing in the lower divisions, that's what I've seen.
Yeah, I would agree. I think guys out there love to go get their bunkering on and get in people's faces, right? You got the violence brand out there, which is pretty big, and they do a great job of marketing and doing what they do. So it definitely makes sense that they want to be in people's faces, right? It lives up to kind of what they brand the whole scene as, in my opinion. And it's also a lot of fun to watch. So I can't hate about it. The only thing you hate to see is if you're out there and you are playing with one of those teams and someone goes to try and bunker someone and they get nobody.
Right.
I was even guilty of it at one point this weekend, trying to go get somebody because I was discovered on the other team's side of the field, but my teammates had just shot him and they just didn't tell me that they had already shot the other guy. So when I went and switched sides and tried to go get somebody, he wasn't there. So it can get you if you let it. You got to be
Yeah,
careful about that West Coast scene. That's for sure.
definitely. In the chat, Me Machine Matt is asking who would win in a 1v1, you or Colt?
I would say me, just because Colt doesn't want to play the 1v1s. So he wouldn't be as motivated as I would be to win the 1v1. Like, he doesn't like to lose either or get shot. So he ain't trying to lose. Don't get me wrong. He wouldn't give it to me. He would play, and he's good. But I'm going to say that I want it more, and I'm going to go get that.
There we go. Love it. All right. This next question is brought to us by BEMRAP. So after 2020, you made the jump from playing D3 and D2 that year with Denver Chaos, and you jumped all the way up to the pro division with AC Dallas, who are, for the most part, the current Paintball Fit roster. So how did you get connected with that squad?
Yeah, the only way I got connected was just through trying out. I was known by Mark Johnson and Greg Pauly just a little bit from the year before. I had tried out for AC Diesel in 2020, going into the year 2020, right? I went and tried out for them. Uh, was like just before the cut, basically, is how I was explained. But I didn't make it. They did hit me up and ask me to come out and go to some practices and stuff, which because of COVID, I only ended up going to one practice. So I didn't get too much exposure there. But then the next year, coming out to the AC Dallas tryouts, I was able to stand out enough that I was able to get picked up. And from there, it was just surviving from all the other pickups and, and just sticking around and putting in the best effort I could every day.
For sure. I guess to follow up on that, as someone who's like more recently gone through making it to the pro division, as far as, I guess, there's some players out there in the divisional ranks that are wondering, like, how do they get their shot, or how do they get those opportunities to go try out? So can you tell us a little bit more, I guess, as far as how that went for you? Like, was there like a public posting for a tryout? Were you invited, as far as like the first one with Diesel, or how did that all go down?
Yeah, so both of the trials were technically posted publicly and said that anybody can come. So those were both just random tryouts. I also went to, clinics and talked to some pros and tried to play as high and as often as I could. Not because I wanted the really high ranking, but because in my area there wasn't a lot of high ranking teams to play against. There was just one. And to be honest, I didn't have a great relationship with that team, and that's partially my fault. I can blame it on them if I want to, but there's always self-blame as well. So didn't have a great relationship for whatever reason that was.
Mm.
And so in order to continue to try and get exposure to high level paintball, I just traveled wherever I could, and tried to play with anybody that I could. I was even playing with KC Missouri All-Stars at the time, who were about to be D2 when I went and played with AC Dallas instead, because I made that squad. So I was just continually trying to reach out and find players that were hungry and playing. So that's what I recommend anybody that wants to be pro does, is try and play as much paintball as you can, travel places, go wherever you can. Go, obviously there's money restraints with everybody too, but be exposed to high level paintball however you can. Even if it's just watching it, you should be watching it with intent, trying to learn something, trying to pick up on why people are doing what they're doing, rather than just, oh, that was a cool move. Like, well, how did he see that move? What information would you need to make that move yourself? And really just putting out effort consistently to doing it. And that's how you're going to get noticed if you have that chance, if you're around the people to notice that. And if you're not, that's how you're going to maybe have someone notice you when you're traveling, and then be able to get that invite, or even just show up to those tryouts, man. Even if you don't think you're ready yet, show up, figure out where you are based on the other players, the players that do move on and make it, and continue to learn and grow from there.
As far as the like building those connections, was there any sort of aspect as far as like how you put yourself out there, or was it pretty much just through consistently showing up at all of these different events and consistently competing?
Yeah, I mean, I think I always tried to carry myself as respectful of all these other teams, right? I tried to always shake everyone's hand and own up, like, hey, who was shooting me extra over there? Hey, that was me. Whether it was on purpose or on accident, just own up to whatever it is, and try and just be an honest person. That way, when they are thinking about, hey, we want to pick someone up, maybe this person would be available. Just being social, and that's something even if you talk to Cyrus Geringer, who I know is not necessarily a Texas native or anything. That's something that he did a lot as well, is just talk to people and be a good guy. And that way you can network and actually become friends with people, even just to be their friend. People that I played against, I became friends with. So there's these teams that, you play over and over again, being in the USXBL, right? There's the same teams all over Texas that you probably know. Well, some of those teams play different events than you guys do. That's how I initially started getting on these other teams, right? These teams that we normally play against are playing an event that they don't have to play against us, and they hit you up and they ask if they can play with you. So I think it's just about carrying yourself in that manner that makes you want to be able to approach you and try and invite you to go play some games.
For sure. Yeah, I know. Like there's examples all the time. Like Cyrus, I think, is a great example of just putting himself out there. I know he not only has been consistently like getting top finishes on his previous team, but he also has his own YouTube channel that he's posting all of these, like the footage of his team and his own gameplay, which I'm sure like definitely doesn't hurt as far as getting noticed out there. Did you have any sort of like social media presence as far as that went?
Yeah, I mean, I've been posting for a long time on social media the same way I do now, where I just kind of post more inspirational stuff. For a while, I posted more like updates about what had happened in events, like a lot of people post. But I just decided to go away from that. I don't get as much enjoyment out of posting that way.
Mhm.
So I decided to post the way that I do now, and kind of always done that, and that kind of always just shows that I am going to different places and playing on different teams, right? Because I go on different jerseys and different teammates all over the place. But besides that, I would always comment back to people. I try and reach out to anyone that I see doing cool stuff in paintball and just be friendly. That's how me and Todd Boyer kind of got connected. That and through another friend as well that I knew out in the Kansas City area. Um, but just he posts a lot, I post a lot. We happen to interact a lot through social media, and that's how you become friends as well. So I think that helps, but I don't think it's required to have a social media presence.
Gotcha. All right. So after you made the squad with AC Dallas, was it that pretty much triggered your you moving to Texas?
Actually, I had planned to move to Texas before the tryout because of the tryout the year before and what had happened with the whole diesel thing and being invited to come play but not being able to. And realizing that, Texas just has a lot of really high talented teams. I that was the first time I watched some of the paintball fit people play. Like I hadn't played out there at all before or seen that scene really all that much. Besides that, a few NXLs, kind of seeing some of these teams come through. Played against Colt at that first tryout and all the rest of the Texas people out there and really enjoyed myself. So I decided I wanted to make that move. I would say 2 or 3 months before the AC Dallas tryouts. Me and my buddy Dylan Fout actually, we decided that we were going to go out there and just have some fun and see what happens. And then of course the AC Dallas tryouts happened a little bit later and kind of worked out for the best.
Awesome. All right. Let's see here in the chat. Robert Jordan from After the Buzzer. He asks, "Who are some of the up and comers from the divisional teams in Texas?"
Some up and comers from divisional teams. So I'm really going to be biased to Paintball Fit because that's where I'm at, and those are the people that I see, coming up and playing all the time. And the up and comers would be, shoot, I think my buddy Joey Petrocelli, or Pepper Chili is kind of the nickname that he has. He's been playing really well. He actually just moved out from Colorado and has been playing with the Beefy Boys, and he's been really playing well. He had played a pretty big role, I feel like, in the last USXPL event for them. Really, a lot of those Beefy Boys been playing well. I think Luke Pulaski, I think is how you say his last name. Sorry if I messed that up, Luke. Pachowski, maybe. He's been playing really well, and he's always out there grinding. I love seeing that. Same with Gabe Sutherland. He's been playing and grinding a bunch. Thorne's been playing and grinding a bunch. Actually, Thorne was just at WCPPL as well, so it's always good to see him. I've been playing and grinding with those guys a lot. Also, the Shut Up We're Trying guys, Brandon Allison, I see out there. All the Hydra kids are grinding like crazy. There's a lot of players that are really putting in a lot of effort, and I just love to see that. That's whether you're getting the wins or not. Hydra kids are trying to move up and play D5 X Ball, right? And they haven't necessarily been winning those events. They're getting close, but I haven't seen them get a dub, I think, in a D5 X Ball yet. But just seeing the effort they're putting in consistently every weekend, even between events, that's the stuff I love to see. So those are the guys I'm shouting out there. And some of them have been getting dubs, but that's just kind of how that goes.
Yeah, for sure. I know that with Thorne, after winning USXBL, I think he just got third place in WC, so he's been on a pretty good streak there.
Yeah, he was playing with Platoon, I believe is the team name, and yeah, they did really well. It was fun to watch. I went and watched a couple of his matches. I tried to catch a lot of the fit guys' matches as much as I could there. Will Weems is out there as well too. He plays with the Academy, I think is what their team name, Academy D4. So
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely a lot of people in the fit area that have been doing a lot of grinding. Shout out to Will, who seems to be like at a different paintball field every other day.
yeah,
Like I see him posting stories from Outlaw, from ASG, from Fit. Like he's all over the place, but he's always at a paintball field.
got to give Will a shout out too, of course, man. Can't miss Will. He's always killing it. That's exactly what I mean, man. And that's a guy that hasn't necessarily had as much success, right? But he is constantly grinding. He's not at fit as much because, like you said, he's at seemingly a different field every single day.
Mm.
But he is someone, now that you mention it especially, man, I see his stories. It feels like every 2 days he's legitimately at a different location, whether it's all the way down in Austin for playing one of those fields, coming all the way up north to play at Fit, or going out south or out west, excuse me, to go play at ASG or some other field out there. So he's been moving.
Yeah, definitely. So this next question is brought to us by Mariachi Aguilas de Oro. So jumping multiple divisions to compete in the professional scene is a huge jump, and unfortunately, AC Dallas wasn't quite ready for it as you were relegated at the end of 2021. Most teams, once they get relegated, they usually just break up. However, your squad used it as motivation to come back and absolutely dominate in semi-pro. You pulled off the only 5-peat in the history of the division, and you made your return to pro. So how are you guys staying motivated throughout all of the hardship to come back even stronger?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is internal motivation from everybody. I think something that we all share is this drive to be great at what we're doing, right? We all enjoy this game. We all have fun. I think pretty much anybody that plays competitive paintball has fun in this game. But we all chose that because we enjoy it so much, let's be great. Let's not just be average or be okay. Let's really chase how great we can really be or how good we can really be. And so I think when you don't do good like that and you don't show up and have the performances that you want in a whole season, I think it's hard not to be motivated. As someone that didn't even get to see the field as much, that alone motivated me like crazy to want to be way better and play way more and just grind. And if I could be with this group, because we're already together anyways, why not stay with this group that wants some of the same things, or it seems like all the same things that I want. So for me, it was an easy decision and an easy choice to stick around. I know we lost a couple guys here and there throughout the process, but also that comes down to life, right? The people that weren't able to stay with the team weren't part of the core of that actually work at Fit. Most of the guys now, besides myself and Cyrus, work at Fit, so that makes it really easy for them to have a schedule that makes sense for playing with us, right? And for me and Cyrus, luckily we're remote and we're able to make a lot more things work than most schedules. So I think that all those things, I know Cyrus hasn't been there from the start, but all those things are what keep you motivated and wanting it. It's having the people around you that also want it, and knowing that you're better than what you did perform, or at least feeling that way. Maybe everybody else doesn't feel that way, but that's also part of the motivation, right? Want to prove people wrong.
Well, y'all definitely. You guys stuck together, and I'm sure several members on your squad throughout all of that were getting some offers to go elsewhere and help strengthen other teams. And all of you guys said, "Nah, we're good. We're gonna, do it together with the family." And it kind of goes along with the question here from me, Machine Matt. He says, "How much money is Fit gonna pay Chavo to stop him from going to another team?" I'm pretty sure the answer to that question is that Chavi's good. He's good. He's not taking any offers. He's happy where he is.
100%. It's team name is Family Integrated Team, right? Fit. It's truly a family, especially with those guys. Chavi was basically adopted by that family. I think it would be really hard to try and pry him or anybody else away. It's the atmosphere they build around there. It just makes you feel like you're part of it, right? Like you're part of the group. So it'll be hard to get anybody, Chavi or anyone else. So better bring 10 bags of money, and that better be all gold. I don't know, something crazy
For sure.
all Bitcoin.
Oh yeah. This next question is brought to us by Colt Roberts at Paintball Kumite. So, Paintball Fit is often regarded as the team that plays the most paintball out of any professional team. So, what does your typical weekly playing and drilling schedule look like?
Yeah, so we play obviously every single weekend. We try and show up sometimes earlier and earlier, depending on how hot it is, especially right now in the summer. Um, but every once in a while, we'll show up closer to 9 o'clock or so and just grind all day, shoot and play until usually everybody else is done or until we're completely exhausted. And then during the week, we'll usually try and get that Wednesday night ball in, and then Friday as well if you can. Schedule, life comes up, and then on top of that, everyone has to get in their own time to keep their drilling going. All that other time is going to be actual points, and we all, have the understanding and expectation that we're handling our drills on our own time, because drills really are a solo thing. If you want help and want someone to give you some advice on your drills when you're doing it, you can grab somebody. But whether it's after practice, before practice, on an extra day because they do have lights and you need that time to get out there, whatever it takes, everyone gets a little bit of drill time in as well to keep themselves sharp.
Okay, so just to put it in perspective, you've got Wednesday night ball, Friday night ball, Saturday and Sunday full points throughout. So that's 4 days of practicing with full points, either hopper ball or, full packs. And then on top of that, you're also getting in your own drills.
Yeah, a little bit of drills here and there for sure. And then the Fridays are usually optional, so not everybody's going to come to those Fridays. But yeah, so definitely the Wednesday though. I would say for sure 3 days, and then getting some sort of drills. Some guys just do it before or after practice. Other guys do it in some other off time. With people working at the field, they can get that in during the week if they want, but nothing too crazy. It's just about being consistent. Really, that's what it comes down to, right? You can have this crazy regiment where you want to play 7 days a week. If you do that for 2 weeks and then you need 3 weeks off, and we just play 3 weeks every or 3 days every single week, we're going to be in the same place come week 7. So
yeah,
decide how you really want to do it. It's just about figuring out what you want and being consistent with it.
For
Putting
sure.
that time over, and it'll pay off.
For sure. I'm curious what y'all shot counters look like, because that's got to rack up pretty quick.
Yeah. No, what would be surprising is like my counter would probably seem crazy to people, but then you got to look at like the actual back guys counters, like a Colt or a Trenton or a Johnny or somebody that has to play a lot more control and shoot, or even Cyrus that has to shoot their gun a lot more. Because I end up doing a lot of crawling and sitting around, especially when we're playing hopper ball, right? I'm just like waiting around for someone to give me a chance to shoot them. I can't be shooting my whole hopper out very fast.
Yeah, I thought that. So my shot counter is, after this past weekend, I think is like at 181,000, and I've had that marker for 10 months, and I thought that was a lot. I'm on pace for 200,000 in a year, but you guys, I'm sure, have done well over 1 million at this point just this season.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's shot counter says 1 million. I think those things get reset on accident or on purpose for some people. But yeah, I think we're definitely we're up there, 500,000 or something crazy like that, no doubt.
For sure. So this next question is brought to us by TexanHemp.com. Jared Sherman over with Austin Notorious. So XTPL has greatly expanded their number of events this year, largely with MechX and the new glow-in-the-dark mech events, which you guys on Fit regularly either coach or act as captains for those teams, like your team in the Champs and Challengers division, Weltz Factory. So do you feel like these regular events have helped you and your teammates accelerate your growth as players?
I feel like, yeah, they definitely help accelerate our growth. I think if you're playing as, a higher player in some of those like Champs and Challengers events, or even in the MechX events and all those other ones that they do, you have to take on a leadership role, even if you're not normally a leader on your other teams. And that teaches you how to teach other people, which then makes sure it solidifies things in your brain even better. And then if it becomes second nature for you to know something, you're going to execute that thing way better, right? So that would be the most obvious, I think, adjustment. And then, of course, just getting used to knowing when to attack and how to turn these fields different times, right? Because when you're playing as, say, a more advanced player against a lot less advanced players, or whatever you want to call it, even as just a regular player, and you feel like someone advances against you, you need to know when the game's going bad one way, when you have to just go for it and push the other direction sometimes. In these situations where, say, the advanced player on the other team is not on your side and he's pushing the other way, as this player that's newer, you need to learn when to try and stop him, and when to say, screw it, I'm going to go the other way and do the same thing, because no one's paying attention, right? Everyone else is trying to protect him doing the crazy thing. So all the different situations that you get into in these games is really good for you as well. The same situations you're going to get into in any division. Maybe all the players are smarter or play different, but it's still going to happen in a similar way. And learning the different options and the different things that could work is a big part to figuring out later how to actually make it work.
How has the growth been affected by being in such regular competition against your own teammates?
It's very annoying, but it's very good though at the same time. Playing players that you have a lot of respect for is great, right? Because you know that they're not cheating you. But then when you miss, like, you're still just as frustrated, especially when you think you have the shot. And everybody knows that feeling of, someone's not even looking at you. They're looking the other way, standing over their bunker or something. You're watching your paint go and you swear it's dropping right on them, and they're just standing there, and then they go back in their bunker and you're like, what is happening? So just dealing with all that kind of stuff is always frustrating, I think, in paintball, and it's just part of the game. But when you're doing it against really good players, that was your only chance, right? So playing against your teammates and having to grind that out is super tough, but really, really beneficial, especially if you're actually able to use each other and bounce what you're seeing off of each other. I think that can be a huge way to accelerate your growth very quickly.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just knowing how your teammates play, and then figuring out, hey, this is where their weaknesses are. This is because you're the most familiar with them out of anybody that they're going to sip on the field against. So you're going to know, hey, like, their tendencies, like Colt's whatever way Colt's shooting off the break, I'm probably going short on that side. Or like, hey, if we don't know where Xavi is at all times, he's probably in our Doritos before we know it. So recognizing those tendencies, and because you're so familiar with them, knowing how to counter them, but then also at the same time, like, your own weaknesses are getting magnified.
Exactly. You know theirs, but they know yours, right? And they know your tendency, so they know if they did lose you and you are going to go forward, they know to set up and be ready for you to make that last bump that you think's free, and they're just going to wait. They're like, I think he's going to be up here. Here he comes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely a double-edged sword at all times. It's great though.
Yeah, for sure. So this next question is brought to us by FU Athletics. So throughout your entire career, do you have a single favorite moment?
Oh man, that's tough. There's been a lot of really cool things. I think some of my favorite moments in general have been, down body situations where me and one guy or me and two other guys pull back a 3 or 2 on 4 or 5. I just love those grinded out points where you're just talking it up and putting the situation together and making the quick reads and the good shots, right? Making those shots count when they need to really bring back those low bodies. If I had to pick maybe one off the top of my head, there was a one-on-one in
that's exactly what I was going to say. Yep.
Cup. That was a pretty cool one. That was how we beat GG, but we ended up going on to get second at that cup, and we didn't win the spot because that was when Notorious actually took the season. So that one's kind of bittersweet. That was definitely a super sweet one. But not getting the dub kind of makes it tough to really enjoy it fully. There's been quite a few good points I got to finish out in the finals last year when we were playing in semi-pro and went on the 5-peat. I really helped finish out, like, I think the last point in Dallas and in Philly. So those were great. But yeah, just in general, the team wins, man. It comes down to those. We know for sure we should be screwed in this situation, but we still somehow pull out the point. Those are always my favorite. I can think of points as far back as the Northman, where I had, my knees shoved underneath a tower, trying to survive with one other guy, just looking cross with him. To doing that last year with Colt, or even this year with Colt against X Factor, we pulled off a 2-on-4. So those are by far my favorite moments. Is those down bodies, man, we're totally screwed, and somehow we pull them out.
Yeah, being able to steal a few of those throughout a tournament is huge.
Oh yeah,
Definitely.
be the difference.
So let's go ahead and change the subject a little bit here and talk about your company. So this one's brought to us by 71 Designs. In 2020, you started up Weltz Clothing Company, which offers clothing and hats for both on and off the field. So what was your motivation to start Weltz?
So technically, it was started by my buddy Corey, who was the one that was commenting in the chat earlier about unreleased gear. He started it because he's always just wanted to have a clothing brand. He's really into paintball. We've been friends for a while, so right after he started, he told me about it, and I kind of just ran with the ideas that he had, and also expanded on it, and just wanted to grow the vision to help other people that want to do good for themselves in their life or want to be successful at anything, not just paintball. And just try and spread that message has always been the goal that I've had since I've kind of come on board. And hopefully make some cool stuff, right? Stuff that I want to wear for sure. I try and take as much advice from other people. If anybody out there wants to see us make something, reach out. We're constantly trying to make some new stuff for people. So yeah, really excited. I love it so far. It's been a lot of fun learning constantly. Shout out to XX Viva Label and Michael Diaz for all the help that he's given me throughout this process. He's made a lot of our stuff as well that we're making right now. So huge shout out to him. It wouldn't be possible without him.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out. I think a lot of stuff that Diaz makes, isn't he making merchandise for the NXL now?
I believe so. Yeah, he's actually been growing great. They continue to grow all the time. They're going to like shows and stuff where people are just like flea market almost style, or like I can't even think, almost like the trade shows or whatever else as well. So just where you can go and buy shirts or different clothing, or even I went to one and there was food there as well and all that kind of stuff. So they've been doing all that and growing like crazy, making big accounts. I heard just recently they had some 100 or couple hundred plus order that they had to fulfill. So super excited for what he's been doing.
Nice. Awesome. And speaking of Weltz and all of like the clothing that you're making for people, one of the people that you're affiliated with, I just saw the message on Instagram from the sidelines, who's another paintball podcast that you sponsor.
Yeah.
And it says, fucking traitor, I guess. So
I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
Shout out to Mafia. Go check out from the sidelines.
Yes.
Yeah. But that's another paintball podcast that you actually sponsor, and you've been involved with them for I don't know a couple of months now at this point. So how has that whole thing been getting to the point where you're starting to sponsor others?
Yeah, I mean, the company grew really quick into people reaching out and asking if we could sponsor them almost within a year of us opening it. We started it in like late 2020, or actually around August 2020. It's actually almost been exactly 4 years now, or 5 years now, excuse me. So that's pretty crazy, but yeah, so we did that and people just wanted to support us, and show us some love. And as we continued to grow, we found partnerships or groupings that kind of made sense to us. We've always tried to find people that are working hard and just trying to be consistent and working towards a vision or a dream that they have for themselves. And we feel like that's something that they've been doing and working towards. And just like you, they've been very consistent. I think they're really high in their episode numbers as well. I can't remember exactly where they're at. I know you're at 112 now for this.
They're like probably like 6 or 7 episodes behind me. They're pretty close.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say I want to say I was on episode 100 not that long ago, so they might be a couple behind. So, okay, glad I didn't say anything, but also glad I was right. So yeah, that just connecting with people that I feel like have a like mind of how they want to handle their lives and what they're trying to do. Mafia in particular is someone that is always trying to improve and get better and do what he can do to kind of level up and get to the next stage of his life, so to speak. And he's moving out to Austin pretty soon here.
Ooh.
So continually, making those changes, taking those leaps of faith to do what he thinks going to be best and chase some dreams. So wanted to support that. Same thing with some of the other people we've supported, like Lycos Plays, and that's Cole Smith, I believe is his last name. I can't remember. I'm sorry. But yeah, he does the streaming with video games, and he's always just been working hard and trying to stick with it and putting out a good message at the beginning and the end of his streams about just working hard and sticking to what you want to do. So want to support those kinds of people and anybody else that reaches out and we feel like matches our message and we can work a deal that makes sense for them and makes sense for us. We're always happy to work with them. Even our buddy Ethan, who just does like personal training. He also plays paintball, but most of the stuff we've done with him has all been personal training gear for him or gear that has like his logos and stuff on it. So always willing to work with people as long as they're willing to spread that message and be really kind and awesome with people and yeah, just continue to grow.
Awesome. Yeah. Shout out to Mafia. I did not know that he was moving to Austin. I wonder if that's, do you know like what exactly is that? Is it partly to do with Scott Lopez or?
I think he is going to be hanging out with him and stuff, but I don't think that was like the main driver from my understanding.
Mhm.
I think it was like more photo and video opportunities for the stuff that he wants to do. Or maybe I'm misunderstanding the work that he wanted to do, but there was some sort of business or work type opportunity. I could have sworn it was for photos and videos, but maybe I'm mistaken in that.
Gotcha. All right. Well, we're looking forward to having him here soon. I mean, I know that he knows that the best paintball is here in Texas, and if you can't beat him, join him. So we'll have him here soon. So yeah, looking forward to that. So as far as Weltz goes, is there any upcoming projects that you'd like to tell us more about?
We don't have anything too crazy that we can announce necessarily, but we do have straps that we've been continually working on. We're using a new manufacturer, so it's been a little bit longer of a process. Normally, we would have probably already done another set of strap releases coming up, but that's not going to happen because we're still testing and figuring things out. Last set was good, but not to our standard, I would say. I technically probably could sell them just as they are, and people would be happy, but I wouldn't feel good about it. So we're gonna wait and keep getting those better. We're also working on some new undershirt styles, different materials to where they might be a little bit lighter weight. Hopefully, getting them cut a little bit long as well. I know mine always looks long, but that's because I've been stretching that thing out underneath my pack for years. So we always tell people to size up, and there's been some issues with the bigger sizes, so we've discontinued those for now. But that's another thing that we're working on. We're getting with some new manufacturers and new people that have really been able to help us out. We're really excited about the work we're doing, but it just takes time. So there will be new designs coming up again at the start of next month. Every Wednesday, like this one is Weltz Wednesday, so we appreciate it if you just show us some love and tag us on Instagram and post yourself wearing some gear. But other than that, yeah, I don't know if there's anything else too crazy going on. Working on new stuff all the time, though.
All right. So some upcoming straps, maybe some upcoming tall tees. Do you have like a release window for that? Maybe like around Chicago, or what's the goal there?
Definitely trying to get them done by Chicago. We're just getting the final touches. We just got some samples in on the shirts and the straps. More likely to get the shirts in by Chicago than the straps. But definitely going to have them both by Cup. That's really the focus, is making sure that they're really dialed in, that they don't look funny or something doesn't come out right. When it comes to manufacturers and our undershirts with the logos right at the bottom, people don't usually understand that. You end up putting it on like a medium template, and then on the large template, it's like not at the bottom of the shirt anymore. So just making sure everybody understands what we're looking for and getting that stuff right. That's kind of the small things we're working on now.
Gotcha. All right. So Patty Rice says just order the undershirts as nightgowns. Problem solved.
Yeah, there we go. Silk nightgowns. I love it.
Mm-hmm. All right, so this next question is brought to us by Hydra. So looking to the future, the NXL Windy City Major is a month away. How is Paintball Fit getting ready for this one, and what should we expect from you all in Chicago?
We're gonna be scrimmaging some teams, gonna be constantly just grinding and doing our regular stuff. And mentally, I think we're in a great spot already. All the guys are very resilient, like we talked about, just having that internal motivation, the desire to be better and to prove people wrong. I think we all feel like we have underperformed so far in the pro division. Haven't really had an event where we played our best the entire event. So we're just waiting to finally have it click for all 4 matches, and I think that's coming real soon. I think Chicago will be a good event for us. I expect to make Sunday and to be a real threat. That's what I always expect from us, though.
For sure. Yeah, I know that you guys are, like, outside of Houston Heat, you guys are the most consistent team in the league. Unfortunately, that's consistently 11th place, but yeah, it's just I know that you've had some great moments, like beating Dynasty in Texas was a massive one for you guys, and I think if you just play a little bit more consistently to your potential, then we're going to see you regularly make appearances on Sunday.
Yeah, I would totally agree. I think that we could be a threat right now, and it's just about playing up to our potential, and that we already have it. It's in us. I would argue that we haven't even played as good as we played last year at any point. So we haven't even cracked the surface yet of what we can do and what we will do. It's just a matter of time before that happens.
All right. And kind of along those lines, here, Mafia's in the chat. What's up? He said, well, he's saying that I said that you guys wouldn't beat Dynasty, I guess, in our prediction show that we did. Yeah, you got me on that one, but
he's calling you out.
Yeah, you got me. But I mean, at the same time, like I do think that you guys should be making more Sundays than I've predicted. So yeah, there's both aspects there. All right, Mafia, cut me some slack there. All right. So along kind of similar lines to that previous question, Mean Machine Matt asks, what are the long-term goals for both you and for Fit?
Yeah, I mean, my long-term goal is to be very, very competitive, to be one of the best players ever to have played the game by the time I'm done. I don't want to stop until I absolutely can't play. I know that sounds crazy to a lot of people, but I'm not someone that's going to want to be done after I win one event or one World Cup or one series championship. Like none of that's gonna be enough. I definitely just gonna want to do as much as I can. I'm gonna want to dethrone the dynasties of the world. Not saying it's gonna be an easy task or it's gonna happen overnight, right? But that's the plans that I have, and I've always had that kind of mindset. And I feel like it's the same for the team. I don't think Fit is someone that thinks that they want to just play for a little bit. This is something they built for the long term. They got a whole field where I feel like they groom players to just be the best they can be. Even if they're not trying to groom them to be on their team, they're just grooming them to be the best players they think they can. And I think that then breeds people that want to be in that atmosphere, right? When you feel like everyone around you is just helping you and wants you to grow, then you get the best players that come to you naturally. So I think they have a great thing already started, and I think to expect anything less than to become, a dynasty type team and be named, mentioned in the same breath as that, isn't a crazy idea at all. I think that should be expected.
Sure, I love that. I guess the repeated trope of the "why not us" mentality. I love it. You got to have that, especially like when you're going up against these legends in the game, like not just on Dynasty, but even some guys on other teams like Red Legion, who's on an absolute tear right now. You've got Chicago Aftershock, who is a legendary name coming back. Obviously, you've got the Texas team, like the other Texas teams. You've got San Antonio X Factor, Houston Heat to go through, and yeah, you just kind of have to. I guess like that realization of, yes, we do belong here, and yes, we are going to beat these guys, and we're gonna take over.
Yeah. I would say some of the guys still getting used to that. Probably me being one of those guys that I didn't really get a lot of play time when we played as AC Dallas, right? So still just being on the field as those pros, as much as I want to have the right mindset and I do my best to be in the right mindset, I'm sure at times subconsciously there's stuff that's happening that's making it even more difficult on myself. And I've definitely made mistakes that looking back, like I must be in the wrong mindset, even though I think in the moment I am in the right mindset and doing the right things, right? Looking back, you make those mistakes. You're like, what was I thinking? What the heck was I thinking in that moment to make a mistake like that? Like I'm a better player than that mistake was. So I think that's just going to continue to come with experience, and I understand that everyone's going to make mistakes at times, and shit happens. Brush it off, get ready to do it again.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, we're definitely gonna be rooting for you guys in Chicago. Let me see what bracket you're in. I think you have aren't you in like an all Texas bracket? No, that's the other bracket that has 3 Texas teams. You guys are in with
Yeah.
Dynasty again, Aftershock,
Sure.
Infamous, and the ML Kings. Well,
Sounds great.
yeah, it's definitely a bracket you can make Sunday, and it's gonna be tough, but no easy games in the Pro Division nowadays.
No, there really isn't, man. All these teams, if you give them a chance, they're going to take it. So you gotta suffocate every team, so to speak, and really play your best game every step of the way if you really want to make Sunday and compete in these events.
For sure. And I think with you guys, compared to other teams who come up from the promotion system, like everybody knew to respect you off the bat, right? You're the team that had the 5-peat coming in that had never been done before. And nobody's sleeping on Paintball Fit the way that they might have slept on some of these other lower teams like earlier on in their careers. So that just instant level of respect that you're getting from these other professional teams, I think just speaks volumes in itself.
Right, right. Almost a double-edged sword. You rather than doubt you, right? You're like, no, we're just some weak semi-pro team. Don't take us serious. You don't have to watch what we do or prepare at all. It's fine. Just trust yourself to wing it.
For sure. All right. So this next question is brought to us by Get That Shot. Message him on Facebook or Instagram if you're needing media coverage at the upcoming Windy City Major. He has his drone license now, so drone footage is something he can offer too. So is there anybody in Texas? And this is the question I ask everybody to kind of get the tabs on any up-and-comers or anybody that's getting slept on out there. So anybody in Texas, it could be a team, a player, a brand, a project, a media guy, a community member that has caught your attention lately. Who do you think deserves more recognition for what they're doing?
Yeah, I mean, I know I'm going to repeat myself a little bit, but the easy ones are going to be all my teammates. I think, Colt Lukow, what he does on the field is awesome, right? But he coaches so many teams at XTPL events, at the USXBL events. He's always helping these teams out. He's not like, going out there trying to charge them $500 or something to ref these or to coach these events either. At least that's my understanding, is it's either cheap or free anytime teams are getting him. So the things that he does to give back, same with Johnny Lukow and how he organizes a lot of the stuff and helps with a lot of what they do. Chavi does a great job with that. Jacob, all those guys are amazing. You can also talk about Verb, but I know he's big. But for me, even like the Beefy Boys, man, I know they just did good, but those guys are grinding, man. I just love to see people that are working at it. And I think the Hydra brand, XTPL, with how many events they're putting out, I think all those guys are the ones that I see. And obviously it's because those are the guys I'm around. But those are the ones I see working really hard all the time, and I love to see it. One other team I want to mention that I have seen grinding pretty hard recently is Cartel, and that's I don't know exactly what city they're based out of technically, but that's a group that I've helped at the XTPLs and at the USXBL events. I coach them sometimes, and I even just help out in their pit anytime I see them around. So lots of good guys there that I see working really hard and just trying to move their way up.
All right. Yeah. Shout out. Definitely a lot of guys working hard. All right.
Yeah.
So let's check the chat real quick, see if there's anything else in here. See, I think that just about does it. Yeah. No other questions it looking like in the chat. So let's go ahead and close it out. This final question is brought to us by Compete, which is Jell Stewart's brand. Message him on Facebook or Instagram. Mention In the Pits for 10% off of your order of soft goods. So Scott, thank you so much for your time. Do you have any last shout outs or things you'd like to say before we sign off?
I absolutely have to once again shout out Hydra and Verbal, man. Those dudes are amazing. Shout out Paintball Fit. Other than that, man, I hope everyone's out there working hard for the things that they really want in their life. If you're not happy with where you are, you can change that just by putting in some time and effort into it. And it's worth it, man. Happiness is worth it. You can get it if you work for it.
Absolutely. All right, y'all. So I think that just about does it. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Be sure to go follow Scott at scottstewart.0 on Instagram. What other guests would you like to see on the show? Be sure to leave a comment down below. While you're at it, hit that subscribe button. The show goes live weekly here on youtube.com/@inthepitspaintballpodcast, and recordings are posted to YouTube, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify the next day. Shout out to my partner and sponsor tier subscribers on Patreon, FU Athletics, Get That Shot, Paintball Kumite, Compete, BEMRAPS, Hydra, XTPL Events, Mariachi Aguilas de Oro, Podrunners Union, 71 Designs, TexanHemp.com, and QBRofficial.com. One last reminder that for this weekend joust, there is one more spot on available. The joust is on Saturday morning. Come get to play under the guidance of Archie Montemayor or Ryan Brand, and it's just going to be a ton of fun, guys. So one more spot, head to xfactorpaintball.com, get that final spot reserved. And yeah, Mafia is just talking shit in the chat now, so I think we're just at the end of our show here. I mean,
go to the YouTube chat just to go check it.
Yeah, for sure. He's talking all of this, and then he's also moving to Texas like he's not trying to be us. All right, I see you. All right, so we will see you guys next week for episode 113, and we will see you all this weekend for the joust. Take care. Scott, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you.